Morning, everyone. I think that we're appreciative that we're all here together, and we start first with our opening meeting, a moment of silence followed by the pledge. Would you please rise at this point? And last month, some of you that were here may realize that September is National Recovery Month, which we had a proclamation at that particular point, remembering that recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, and every community. And we will be celebrating National Recovery Month this Saturday from 10 to 1, 9 to 1 at the East Stroudsburg Presbyterian Church in East Stroudsburg. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. So there's a moment of silence, which your heart leads you, that silence, and then we will follow by the pledge. And now our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on the agenda, we have our grants manager, Jennifer Strach, with us today to have a public hearing on the 2022-23 Human Services Plan. Human Services Development Fund and Homeless Assistance Program, all three.
So the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services requires counties to develop a plan to administer funds under the Human Services Block Grant. Monroe County is a Human Services non-block grant community where the Carbon-Monroe-Pike Georgia Board oversees the administration of our mental health, developmental services, and drug and alcohol. The Homeless Assistance Program and the Human Services Development Fund are administered by each individual county, and Monroe County will be submitting Appendix A and Appendix C.2, which gives our breakdown of our fiscal as well as our plan and how we plan to administer the funds. The Monroe County Fiscal Affairs Office will be the administrator of the HAP and HSDF funding through subcontracted service providers approved by the commissioners. In the Homeless Assistance Program, we plan to serve 220 individuals, and of those 220 individuals, 26 of those will be served through the Pocono Area Transitional Housing Program, which will provide short-term housing and support services for homeless families in Monroe County. The primary goal of the Pocono Area Transitional Housing is for participants to obtain and maintain permanent housing after receiving counseling or personal finance services, employment, education, job training, and housing search and placement. 40 homeless individuals will receive case management services through our RHD Straight to Feet provider at the Homeless Day Center, where individuals are connected with personal identification, mainstream resources, health and human services referrals, and employment and housing assistance. 154 individuals will receive emergency shelter services from Women's Resources of Monroe County for domestic violence, the Salvation Army, and Family Promise of Monroe County. Women's Resources participants receive counseling services to assist with planning for future safety, education about community resources and problem solving, accessing transportation, childcare, and work or training. The Salvation Army and Family Promise offer case management to acquire permanent housing and other needed services. In the Human Services Development Fund, we plan to serve 341 individuals, and of those individuals, 100 individual adults who are blind and visually impaired will receive escorted transportation services from the Sites for Hope to access medical appointments, food supplies, and agency services, all empowering them to maintain their highest level of independence. 10 individuals with mental health and developmental issues will be assisted by Carbon-Monroe-Pike Mental Health and Developmental Services through community residential services to be provided to adults, securing or maintaining housing that is safe and affordable through service planning, transportation, and counseling services. 231 children will receive services through Family Advocate at the Pocono Services for Families and Children, which utilizes a two-generational approach. Family advocates work directly with all enrolled families for education, housing, healthcare, employment goals, financial stability needs, and any additional resources needed to assist families in reaching stability and personal goals. So our plan will be submitted to DHS after this hearing, and thank you all for signing in. I greatly appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions about our human services plan for 2022-2023?
What's the sum total dollars you're talking about for what you just discussed?
So our dollars total 96,767, and our homeless assistance program dollars are 50,195.
Listening to you go through it, you'd think there'd be millions of dollars being spread at these programs, but it's less than 150,000.
Yeah.
And in terms of services, we're only the administrator of these funds. We don't provide any of the services that you described. We as a board, the three commissioners sit as a board with other people from the community to designate which agency is the recipient of how much money out of this 150,000.
Correct. And we typically look at the community's highest needs in order to provide those services. So one of our highest needs is homeless prevention, housing, rental assistance, and that's why a majority of our funding goes towards that particular area.
I think it's important also to note that these different agencies and organizations that you talked about can't survive with just this money alone. You know, that's why you see fundraising going on many, many times for these other agencies in order to get more money from the community to help support what they're doing.
Yes, and I also brought our 2022 PIT count, which is point in time count for homeless assistance program. And what we saw over the past year is a decrease in unsheltered individuals from 2020 because there was no PIT count in 2021 due to COVID. We saw a significant decrease, so we only have 6 unsheltered individuals in our county, but we saw a 77% increase in emergency shelter, and that's because of all the CARES funding and emergency rental assistance program dollars in our county. So we had more people in emergency shelter and transitional housing than we ever had, which is what decreased the number of homelessness. Those who are literally homeless in places unsuitable for habitation, living in their cars, living in tents, living out doors. So in 2020, it was 34. This year, they only found 6. But like I said, we had a 77% increase in the number who were housed in emergency shelters. We do still have a significant issue. We had 40 people consistently in our cold weather shelter between November and March at the Stroudsburg Wesleyan Church. So we know that there is still a huge need for emergency shelter within our community.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but you did, and it's on the agenda later. But this announced the gift that we got last week or the week before in terms of ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
Yeah, so Monroe County is one of the leading counties in spending all of our emergency rental assistance program funding. We have completely spent 100% of our ERAP 1 dollars. And so I reached out to DHS, and we are going to receive an additional $2 million in our emergency rental assistance program, which will help with rent, utilities, and emergency shelters for homeless.
And your best guess as to how long that will last before it's spent?
Between our ERAP 1 and ERAP 2 funding, we have approximately $3 million left now in our available funding, and I am hoping that it will last through March, which will get us through the cold weather season, hopefully and making sure that they have and water and don't get evicted. That's the biggest issue.
I think then it's important to comment, please, on the agencies that are assisting us with that. We are helping with the coordination of that extra money, but also I'll let you go ahead and tell me, you know.
Yeah, so we have two main providers who are providing emergency rental assistance program funds, and those are Family Promise of Monroe County, which is our largest rapid housing provider in the county. They provide emergency shelter, homeless prevention when they get, when people get an notice to quit or they physically have an eviction notice through the court system. They'll be able to assist them to make sure that they stay in their current housing situation, which is ultimately the best, especially for families with children, not having to transition them to emergency shelter into a new home. And then we also contracted with Boca Mountains United Way, who brought in a whole new team, including individuals from Manpower. We staffed up to 12 people. We still have about 356 first-time applicants on the list that we are working our way through. The application process can be a little bit daunting with the information that the federal government requires us to collect, IDs, pay stubs, making sure that your income qualified for the program. So we did need that additional staff, and we were very blessed to have those two organizations step up to actually administer this program. And without them, we would not have gone through all of our funding as fast as we did. They were very efficient and effective in keeping people in their homes, which was a blessing. But we are still, like I said, we have 300 and some names still on the list that are first-time applicants to the program, but not yet been served. Yeah, we have changed our priorities in order to assist more people. We've now limited it to 15 months of assistance, down from 18 months of assistance, just to make sure that we can serve as many Monroe County residents as possible.
Those were easy questions. This one isn't so easy. If the money lasts through March, what is done to prepare people for the eventuality that the money isn't going to be there the 1st of April?
So
We'd like to get a coughing fit while we think about that.
we have already started preparing people. Every time somebody applies through the Compass system, they now receive an email from our office that basically states that, you know, this program is only available as long as there's funding, and then we list all the other community resources that are available within the community. But they're all based, we pretty much let them know that they're all based on income guidelines and specific guidelines that they would have to meet in order to receive assistance. I do foresee Monroe County, because of the increasing cost of living and the increasing cost of housing, we've seen a lot of rents go up, and we're not seeing wages go up. We're seeing increased costs in everyday expenses like gas and food. And so I do foresee us still having that potential crisis come March down the road. But we're seeing less unemployed individuals come through the program now, just those who are really under income, under that 50%, under that 30% AMI. So there's a lot of families in our community who are really struggling just to keep up the increasing cost of rent in our community.
The AMI for a family of 4.
I would be guessing. I don't want to guess unless you want me to ballpark it. It's probably around $45,000 to $50,000 ish.
Right.
And that's 50% AMI.
Right.
So yeah, it's above the 100% poverty level, so it's right around the 200% federal poverty level. Most programs, SNAP is 185% poverty level, and then all other, like the Human Services Development Funds, as well as the Homeless Assistance Program funds, that's all under 150% federal poverty level. But we are seeing our state legislators increase that federal poverty level to about 200%, so that more people would qualify for the assistance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, you kicked me later.
Yeah.
So the 2 million, is there any way that that amount can change, or is that pretty much it?
If there are additional dollars out there, and the state needs us to spend them quickly, because we are so efficient, what we're doing is we're taking those who qualified for ERAP 2, but were served with, qualified for ERAP 1, but were served with ERAP 2 funding. We're moving them over to ERAP 1 so that we can extend our ERAP 2 dollars, which theoretically we're supposed to run through 2026, but where it will be lucky if we get to the beginning of 2023.
Because the counties that reached out to you, because you have received two, one for 581,000 and the other one for 274, which obviously we're going to be getting more,
Yes.
total of 2 million. But counties that may not have reached out or still have funds but haven't, is it possible we could get them?
Yes, actually, DHS reached out to me on Friday. There's an additional $76,000 that they said, can come our way. We've already theoretically spent it.
But that's as a result of the reporting of the counties back to DHS.
Correct. It's not
Right.
just some variable number. This is DHS saying we have this funding available. Can you spend it? Yes, it's already spent, and then it's
Adams
coming.
County can't spend it all, so then they can,
Correct.
so we get the checks from those counties, correct?
Some of them. Okay, so the ERAP 1 federal dollars have to be spent by September 30th of 2022, ERAP 1 dollars. So the reason that some of the other counties are sending us the checks is because they can't go to the state and get from the state to us as a county prior to September 30th.
Right.
Which is why our treasurer has received 2 direct checks from counties, and the rest will come from the state prior to September 30th, because that's the federal law. Has to be spent by and distributed by September 30th of 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, now is there public comment? So we have to, pardon?
Agenda items.
I know, but I mean, we don't have to have a motion for the hearing or anything, or close anything.
Closed.
It's closed, so, okay. Thank you. All right, public comment, agenda items only, please. Seeing none. Greg, there's a couple folks, before we get started, anybody that needs an agenda? Or would you get one? Okay, I think we read it all. Okay, under old business, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the 8/17/2022 Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion, any questions? Hearing and seeing, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Under proclamations and certificates, we'd like to congratulate and award Alex Robert Heater as his work he's done as an Eagle Scout. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and second. Any discussion, questions? I think Commissioner, Chris, you're going to be in attendance for that. Thank you for serving in that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Moving on to new business. Number 1, personnel. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 1, items A and B.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have first and second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 2, electronic financial transactions ratified. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in item number 2, items A through C?
So moved.
Second.
We have first and we have second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, travel authorizations, we have approved and ratified. And motion to approve the actions listed in number 3, item A.
So moved.
Second.
First and the second, any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to number 4, Monroe County Area Agency on Aging items. A motion to approve the actions listed in number 4, items A and B.
So moved.
Second.
At first, we have a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 5, Monroe County Children Youth Services. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 5, items A and B?
So moved.
Second.
Any,
And C.
A, B, and C, thank you. Do I hear any discussion on those? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 6, Commissioner's Office. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 6, items A through N for the Commissioner's Office?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and second. Any discussion or questions?
Just call your attention to 6B, the budget adjustment, totaling $2,731,000. That's where the ERAP additional funds that Jen just discussed are entered. Also in that includes a election integrity grant that we received in the approximate amount of $289,000. Following along, if you look at N, the number of vendors on the county list of approved vendors, most of those first 28 are people who are landlords for the people who are applying for ERAP money so that they're able to pay their rents. The payments go directly to the landlord rather than to the renter. That's to make sure that the money goes for their intended purposes. But an indication of the need within Monroe County that, as Jen said, there's still so many people unserved or looking for service for the first time.
I hate to do this, but I have to correct you, Mr. Moyer. It's $584,000 for the election.
Oh, I was half right, like usual. 584,000.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Moving on to number 7, the Development Authority of Monroe County. I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 7, item A.
So moved.
Second.
First and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Number 8, Monroe County Correctional Facility. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 8, item A?
So moved.
Second.
First and second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Number 9, capital outlay purchases. Your motion to approve the actions listed in number 9, items A and B.
So moved.
First and second, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 10, computer capital purchases. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 10, item A?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything under miscellaneous?
Not this time.
Anything under public comment?
I
I just wanted to, I told Merle I would ask anybody that's here, they're printing a cooking book.
Mhm.
And she's not getting a lot of recipes back and the story ran. But if you know people that have recipes with the secret ingredient, you can get them to write it down. You can send it to me, anybody. I mean, or she's got it on their website, but they're not getting, so they're needing a lot of recipes.
I think I passed those out one time in a public meeting, and I still have some forms that I will be glad to get at the end of this meeting
Okay,
for those folks that would like them. They're actually
yeah,
sitting on a counter over in Doreen's office.
okay, yeah, because I put mine in some
Me too.
business.
What's really cool about them, what I think is really kind of unique and really, really nice, is the fact that you can have a tribute to one of your relatives, mom, grandmom, aunts, anything like that, in their name, on a recipe that their
Right.
family has used for many, many years. So thank you for that information.
All the recipes they can get.
It'll be-
They have some that's stepped up print to businesses, so everything they sell will be profit.
To go back into,
Yes,
yes.
yeah, because they don't really have much of that.
You get your famous Salushki recipe in there, John.
On one behalf, right on the ingredients.
Okay, any other public comment?
My name is Matt White, I'm a business agent for teachers, corrections officers working at the prison. I know that the officers have expressed concerns regarding excessively mandated overtime. Safety concerns. I'd like to submit some studies that were done by different professional organizations regarding the impact of those studies.
Thank you.
Take a look at them. Not as, just squeeze in your, okay. And also, I'd just like to make a statement on behalf that it's the position of the union that commissioners and the prison board direct the prison administration to, when applicable and when feasible, to modify the prison operation to reprieve these excessively mandated officers. Have some incidents that I believe might have been avoided in this, and I think we need to make every effort in working together to address this. In the past, I have produced a possible memorandum of understanding between the labor attorney for the county, Tom Heimbach, presented for me, any type of additional compensation for these officers, whether it's starting lump sum pay as far as a sign-on bonus, additional benefit time, or an increase in an hourly amount. It was turned down, but the local union is always open to those discussions.
Oh, sorry.
Listen,
No, you go first.
I might take up some time, so.
Good, I got time.
Okay. Before I get into some of the other internal jail stuff that I discuss every week, I recently got a response to that Archer report request from Greg. If I can, I'd like to hand it to you, just for clarification, so I understand what I'm looking at. There's a table of wages. I would like to know if that is the current wages or that is the wages that were adjusted after the Archer study was done. Because this is the only thing I got, and everybody has looked at it, feels like there's stuff missing from here, so I would just like to know, these are the actual wages, this is the whole packet that was provided to me. Okay, well, I can tell you, I was just curious, I can tell you those are the old wages. There's an E18 in there, as per that, starts at $20.13 an hour and tops out at $30.13 an hour, but our sergeants are E18s and they now start at $20.17 an hour. And I have a sergeant who tops out at $35.13 an hour. So those are the old wages, 100%. I've done the study myself. I have every county employee's pay, and I've looked at it. Those are 100% the old wages. Question is, I submitted the right to know request for the Archer report in its entirety. I haven't received the new wages that were suggested by the Archer Group. So I would ask to receive those. That is part of the original request. If I got the old wages, I don't see why I wouldn't get the new wages. Plus, in the response from the Archer Group and in the invoices that were provided, the invoices document that they actually provided you with a salary survey from the surrounding counties that they did. I requested all the documents from the Archer study that was done. Salary survey they conducted for you with surrounding counties would potentially be part of that. I didn't receive that either. I would just like to put that out there that on the record, I'm still asking for these documents because I feel that the request was answered partially, not in its entirety.
And I will give you what Archer provides to me, but there are some things Archer won't give me, like their methodology.
I don't need the methodology. I'm
That's
looking at the
their-
reports they distribute to the
So,
salary survey.
I'll
the
certainly
new
double
wages.
check with the HR to see what they've given me as far as the updates, but that's the best I can do.
And we'll-
I provided you what was provided to me as a result of your open records.
Okay, well,
You always
so-
have the right to appeal the open records request.
How do I
don't think
do that?
gave it. You appeal it to the state.
They
You always have the right to do that. But let me check
I've
into
never
it.
done it, so I'm
Let me check into it for you first, so we see if we've given you the right.
Secondly, you see there's a lot of officers here today. They keep coming, new officers, new faces, the numbers are getting bigger. These issues we keep addressing every meeting here are not being dealt with, not being spoken about, they're not being adjusted. I can go through just since the last time we were here, issues that happened where I had a rover call to mail intake and there was 0 rovers to respond to 2 inmates fighting when the officer called for backup. Inmates had to break up the fight. And the officer got on the radio and said, stand down on the rovers because it's taken care of. These modifications to operations are not happening and our safety is in jeopardy. We keep addressing this and nothing is being done. We have, as Matt spoke about, making modifications in the excessive mandated overtime. I have an officer for midnight shift, Lisa Knight, who volunteered the other day to work her 3rd double in a row because day shift needed 8 people, but they only had 5 people in briefing. That means day shift is running 3 people below our safe minimum complement. She puts her hands up, volunteers to work, gets told, no, you can't do it because we can't afford to pay the double time pay. So my safety, my life is put in jeopardy because the county refuses to pay the additional half-time for double time pay. As soon as she walks out of that building, they hit the auto dialer, which is the emergency call for the staffing being short for safety issues. I mean, how does that make sense when she's in the building willing to stay, but when she walks out, we hit a button saying it's not safe, we need assistance. These issues are not being dealt with. We have a blade missing from the kitchen, a weapon missing from the kitchen that has not been searched for. The facility has not searched for that weapon. I know Warden Heidel said at the safety meeting yesterday that the facility was searched. I've said it before when I named somebody being a liar and I was told I can't do that language. That statement by the warden that the facility was searched for that blade is 100% false. It is not a true statement. I have worked every single day since that blade has been missing and overtime on 2nd shift. You have 2nd shift officers here, 3rd shift officers here that can attest to that fact. We have not searched for that missing weapon. I will hand you the recent Times News article where Warden Heidel is quoted on line 64 through 67, saying that my priority has always been the safety and security of staff, inmates, and the facility as a whole. I ask how, when there's a weapon, a blade missing from a kitchen, and a jail is running short staff, how the warden's priority is safety and security when we have not searched for that weapon. And I'm working under conditions that the rovers that I do have are on their 6th, 7th, 8th double in 2 weeks, and they're exhausted and tired, and I don't have anybody to show up to save me if I'm being assaulted by this weapon. That statement to the news is 100% false by Warden Heidel. I addressed you guys last meeting that the safety policy in the county, you guys are the top of it. You guys manage it. These things are not happening. It is not acceptable that myself and my fellow officers here report to work every day under these conditions for the last 2.5 years, and nothing is being done. And you have a warden who was providing me false information that we're telling you is false. And you guys are sitting back and letting him and the deputy warden of security mismanage this prison. And it's not acceptable. Something has to give. You guys are well aware, I'm sure, of the incident that happened on mail intake the other day that I'll leave out here for the public, right? Right? We all know what happened, right?
Yeah.
For 2.5 years, we've been asking for every cell on that unit to have glass put in the doors and tray slots put in. Right? There's B status inmates on that unit. We keep addressing the mixing of classifications as a problem. It shouldn't be happening. There's no policies on it. For 2.5 years, we've asked for glass in those windows to protect us from COVID. If the glass was on those windows, like we've been asking for 2.5 years, and the tray passes were properly installed in that door, the mini disturbance, little riot that happened that led to the officer not conducting the tours could have prevented the situation that occurred, because that officer would have been able to walk around that unit and properly do the tours, and we could have caught what happened. That's a failure by the administration to not do something to protect us, which led to a situation that fortunately was not one of us, but it was a member of the community, which now opens the county up to issues you guys have to deal with down the line, which we have said is going to happen, right? Next time something bad happens, it is going to be one of us. The tensions in that jail are through the roof. The inmates are testing officers daily. We've had multiple incidents since we've been here the last time with inmates fighting officers, testing us in ways they've never tested us before. And we're short-staffed and we're not modifying operations. The only time modifications happen is when we're already 10 officers down. We have an inmate who needs to go out to get his toe looked at for a transport that's not even an emergency transport, just a routine doctor appointment that the jail refuses to reschedule. Then we cancel recreation, bring inside and use those officers to take the inmate to a doctor, but we're not utilizing those officers to protect myself and my fellow officers. It's unacceptable. Something needs to happen, and I'm asking today, why is this not happening? This is 10 weeks now we've been coming here, right? We've been every meeting for the last 5 meetings that have happened, or 4 meetings. 10 weeks because we skipped a week because of the beginning of September. Why is nothing being done? Why are you guys still allowing Gary to run this building in this manner without directing him to do certain things? That's my question. And if you'd like, speak to these officers, because there's more people that have been involved in firsthand situations. You have a guy that was in a riot. You have a guy that's been involved in fights. You have guys that have been hit in the face and assaulted. And nothing is being done to protect these people. We had a brand new trainee who's part of that 2-week training class that we're doing, those truncated classes that are failing miserably. Every officer who goes through those 2 weeks classes say they do not feel safe running housing unit operations. They have no idea what they're doing. The guy was his second day on the job. He was attacked by an inmate on charge. He had no business being on our gang unit after 2 days on the job. Luckily, myself and other people were able to respond and break that up and save him. 5 hours prior on day shift is when we had 0 rovers to respond to a rover call. That would have happened 5 hours earlier. That guy was surrounded by 30 inmates. He would have been there by himself with no modifications made to the facility. How are these things acceptable? When is change going to happen? When are we going to start directing Gary and the Deputy Warden of Security to actually do their job? Because you guys said you have the utmost confidence, and I ask today, do you still have the utmost confidence? When the warden says safety is a priority, and you can ask anybody in this room, I'm telling you there's a weapon missing from the kitchen since last Monday. We haven't even looked for it. Do you feel confident with that? Because I don't feel confident going to work tomorrow after this meeting, knowing that there's a weapon that can be used on me. Nothing? No answer to the questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Every 2 weeks, that's what we hear.
Good morning, everyone. State Representative Maureen Madden. I'm here to represent these union members. And as you all know, as the mother of 2 New York City police officers, when I hear things on the news, and I record all the news at Channel 13 and listen to it, when I hear that there are 60 prisoners to 1 guard, it makes me really nervous for the safety and the lives, quite frankly, of these people. When I hear that during COVID, they had to use their sick time, their vacation time, their personal time to get well, when other agencies and other businesses and corporations were giving people 10 to 15 days off without using their time. When I hear that we have tens of millions of dollars of American Rescue Plan money, and we're not putting up the glass that these people need to keep themselves safe from COVID and from being attacked, that really causes me to worry. And I'm very concerned about the fact that I hear Commissioner Moyer speaking about this problem after every meeting saying, we're trying to hire new officers. We've cut short the training time. We're doing everything we can. You know what I'm not hearing in this conversation? I'm not hearing using the tens of millions of dollars we have for retention bonuses, for hazard pay, sign-on bonuses, money that you've gotten from the federal government that you have some leeway to spend and invest in these officers and say, we are so sorry that we can't hire people fast enough to make your job easier, but we're doing everything we can. And a sign-on bonus would be really helpful because you can go to Sheetz or Wawa or Target or Walmart and make more money than you are for putting your lives in danger each and every day taking care of guards. Now, I've also heard these guards, correction officers, ask for more increased lockdown because they're worried about their safety, and they're saying it again, that they're being tested all the time by these inmates. Listen, I taught in that jail when I worked at East Stroudsburg University 8 years ago, 10 years ago. It was already overcrowded and understaffed. We're talking about a problem here today that has been in existence for over 10 years and has been exacerbated by COVID. I mean, what, we're going to build a beautiful new courthouse, and then we're going to send all these people to this overcrowded, understaffed jail, and then we're going to deny people the overtime. People who come in dead dog tired and work anyway because they don't want to leave their fellow officers in jeopardy or in danger. I mean, it's time to take a big, bold move here and start offering bonuses, hazard pay, really step up the search to find new officers and start treating these people like the valuable asset they are in our community, making sure that everybody is put behind bars, stays behind bars. I would hate to see the next news story be these prisoners took over the jail and any one of these men or women got hurt. Thank you.
Sure.
As one of the officers at the jail, I would just like to mention, and first of all, I want to preface, I am half asleep. I am running on 2 or 3 hours of sleep from another double shift, my 6, this pay period. Many of us, we're just asking for our thoughts, our opinions, our concerns to be brought into consideration. We work behind the scenes in an environment where most people, they don't know anything about what goes on behind bars. And if they did, frankly, they'd probably be scared for a variety of reasons that I'm not even going to touch up on because it's too many lists. But we are people. We are human beings just like everybody else in this county. Myself, I work the maximum amount of overtime that I can, even before all of this overtime issues we've had, because my wife's a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 children, a wife to support, and I take care of my parents from time to time because my father's a disabled veteran who has tried to commit suicide more times than I can count, and I need to take care of my entire family. I'm getting to the point where I can't take this overtime anymore because I am getting mandated 3 shifts back to back. I'm getting mandated 6, 7 times a pay period. I have no time to spend with my family, and when I try to spend time with my family, I fall asleep in the middle of my own house playing with my children. That's just me, but everybody else, they have to take care of their entire family because they have family members that are working. So they might have more responsibilities at home to do. All we're asking is please take us into consideration as anybody else in this county would.
Ms. Madden, I'd like to thank you for speaking up for us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure and my job.
Thank you. I talked to you guys a few weeks ago. At the jail 17 years ago when I first started, it was a prideful job. It was one of the better paying jobs out here. And it took, you'd have 100, 130 people show up for these tests, and you'd be lucky if you're one of the 7 people that got hired. You have 18 people taking these tests now, 7 people passing, and have no choice but to hire these 7. There's no elimination process. There's no screening. Everyone that wants to work at the jail has the job right now. So obviously hiring is an issue. We can't compete with the pay that's out there. Like Ms. Madden said, you could work at Sheetz, you could work at Chick-fil-A, there's hiring bonuses, there's incentives to work for these companies. There's no incentive to work at the jail except that you have a job. It's a steady job. You have overtime. And that's why most of us here, we've been there a long time. We're not going anywhere. But for the last 2 years, we've been let down. We've been let down by you guys, we've been let down by the administration. When you guys, COVID hit, everyone was safe. Everyone went home to their families. We went to work every day. There was no shutdown period. When we contracted COVID at the jail, we got nothing. We were told to go home, take your time off, because we had to protect ourselves from COVID. But meanwhile, utilize our own benefit time to take off. The people that had no benefit time couldn't get unemployment because people were fighting us on unemployment. Every which way that we could have got stabbed from somebody, it happened. And it's continuing to happen today. It's just getting old, it's tiring, and there's no window. We really expected somebody was going to step up. Our administrators, the commissioners, and 2.5 years later, nothing has happened. And again, now with the hiring crisis, we can't find the bodies. It's not so much a COVID issue anymore. It's just a safety issue now. And they're taking advantage of us. And now we're getting it from the inmates. Thank God they have enough respect for us to not really step the boundaries because they do see us every day, more than you guys see us. They actually have respect for us as officers to not test us more often. It's going to get bad, gentlemen, ladies, and please, please do something for us to help us because there's nowhere to go.
I'll give you another one. You want to know how disgraceful our administration is to us, how devalued we are? There are people sitting here today that have saved lives in that jail, performed CPR on dying inmates and saved them. Or the inmate may have passed. That happens every so often. There's an awards program in that facility for when you go above and beyond your job like that. You get an award, you get a pin. Your supervisor recommends you for it. It's just a pin, simple little $4 pin. That's just a signature of your recognition for doing your job. 2.5 years we've been working under these conditions. We've had multiple people try to commit suicide. We've had suicide. We've had people save lives. This happens all the time where we Narcan somebody, perform CPR and save somebody. Our supervisors recommend us for that pin. The administration refuses to give us those pins. Our business agent has offered to personally pay for the pins himself. So it doesn't even cost the county $1 for the pin. All you have to do is hand us a pin and say, thank you for saving that individual's life. Thank you for trying to save that individual's life. We have good conduct pins. You go 5 years with no discipline, you just get a pin that says, hey, you're an exemplary officer. I can't say that word. It's just a pin that says, hey, good job. 5 years not getting disciplined. Over the 7 years that Gary Heidel has been our warden, nobody has gotten one of those pins. He refuses to give them out. Why can this not happen? It's just another kick in the face. We get kicked in the face daily. And believe me, I'm holding back what I really want to say to you guys because it's not respectful. Because I am disrespected daily by you guys and the administration. You don't understand how we feel getting kicked down every day. But we go to work and we do the doubles. And we do 3 doubles in a row. And guess what? We burnt our sick time up through COVID. We have 0 sick time because we were forced to use it. Now you do 3 17-hour days in a row. God fucking forbid you call off because you're tired. Sorry. God forbid you call off. You get written up for calling off because you're tired. You get a suspension day because you call off in conjunction with your overtime because you're tired. 3 17-hour days, we get written up because we're tired. I can't get a pin. I can't get a freaking pin for saving somebody's life that costs nothing. It's a disgrace. It is a flat out disgrace. It's got to stop. It has to. You have officers, you don't even understand. There's studies out there that I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to send them from Harvard Medical University, from the Department of Justice, from Corrections One. COs in the entire nation out of any job have the highest rates of PTSD and suicide. That includes active duty military members who were in Afghanistan. You know why? Because they do a 3-month, 6-month tour. They get to come home and take off for 6 months. They get to decompress. We don't get that for 2.5 years. These guys on second and third shift are working 3 17-hour days, 6, 7, 17-hour days in a pay period, dealing with suicide, dealing with being attacked, dealing with being in riots, dealing with being kicked in the face every day. And we get 0 time to decompress. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. I'm telling you, I look around this building. COs are hardened people. We're tough. We curse. We're brash. We can't let inmates see our weaknesses and our feelings. I can guarantee you 75% of my building has PTSD and is depressed and has thought about suicide. I guarantee 75% of this building has felt all these things in the last 2 years. With what just happened the other day, you guys know about. It's a severe incident. We haven't had a decompression. We haven't had a meeting. We do a debriefing after something like that happens. I've been there 17 years. Anytime that happens, everybody who was involved is put in a room and we do a debriefing. Everybody gets talked to. Is everybody okay? Do you need anything? We used to offer people a day or two off with pay so they can sit home and decompress. That doesn't happen. Warden Heidel just said in the safety meeting, asked the business agent that happened. That every officer that was present for that incident was debriefed. They were asked, do you need anything? Do you need to talk to EAP? Do you need any time off for work? That is 100% a lie. It didn't happen at all. There's people sitting in this room right here that were present for that incident. If you would like to talk to them after that meeting so we can actually talk in public about what happened, ask them. Because they were not offered any time off. They weren't even asked if they were okay. I'll give you one better. They were mandated to work another 8 hours after dealing with that situation. Weren't even told they can go home and relax. They had to stay at work after doing what they just did, or they would get written up if they went home because they mentally weren't fit for duty that day. It's disgusting. And then what we hear is, hey, thank you, no comments, no discussions, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And we go to Gary and we get nothing. And then we deal with the business agent going to prison meetings and we get lied to and we get told, well, no, we talked about it. No, we did this. No, we searched. And then 2 weeks later, it's the same crap again. It has to change, man. It is unacceptable that we just keep hearing from you guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, one of us could be dead. 2 weeks from now, one of us could commit suicide. 2 weeks from now, one of us can turn into a drug addict and overdose because we're so stressed and depressed and can't deal with what we're dealing with, while you sit behind that desk with just looks on your face like, oh man, I'm tired of hearing these people. This is crazy. We'll deal with them in 2 weeks again. 2 weeks from now, one of us might not be able to come here and see you. And you guys are sitting there doing nothing. Enough's enough.
It's more than that.
It's not more than that. It's flat out, it's not more than that.
I've been respectful. I appreciate the fact that you're here, but more than that happens. We have another meeting at 10:30.
I'll hang out for that one too.
Okay.
I do have a question,
Yeah.
and thank you, gentlemen, because from the inside, from the inside of the job that you do, we don't appreciate that. We don't on a daily basis. I'm just an average citizen. I listened to your meeting last week. It broke my heart. When does this warden become evaluated? When are his evaluations? Is it yearly? Have you evaluated him? Who writes his evaluation? Because this is, I think, a common problem. It sounds like they haven't even been judged in a good sense, and maybe this man hasn't been judged in any sense either. So I'm just asking a question. When is his evaluation take place?
Yearly by the prison board.
By the prison board.
Who's the prison board?
The three commissioners, the district attorney, controller, the sheriff, and the president judge, although she's opted out of being a member.
And when is that evaluation due for this warden?
Probably October, November.
We believe that 100% confidence in him after over 2 years of these failures. This guy gets raises. This guy gets additional compensation from the Archer study. He gets above the annual 3%. He's getting treated fairly. We haven't gotten nothing. You heard Maureen Madden ask, you guys have millions of dollars. Everybody else got raises. Ray Christine got 2 raises out of the Archer report. We're dealing with all this crap. And we get, as this private citizen just said, we get evaluated every year. Look at everything we're doing extra. Look at what we're taking on. Look what we're dealing with. We can't get a thank you. We can't get a pizza party. I can't get a penny. But everybody else takes raises. And Gary Heidel keeps getting evaluated and keeps getting above his 3% performance. He keeps getting above his raises because he's doing a stellar job, is what that would show. But we're telling you, he's not doing a stellar job. Him, the deputy warden of security, are failing. You guys are sitting back and letting it happen like it's nothing. It's crazy.
Mr. Kubik, anybody, as you well know, represented in a collective bargaining agreement is not part of the Archer study.
I have that Archer study that was given to me by Greg Christine. Every single bargaining unit member is in that study and has their wages in that study, except us.
Sheriff's deputies are in there.
Sheriff deputies are in there. All the probation officers are in there. All the office workers are in there. I handed it to him. Please take a look at it. Because last meeting you said you haven't physically seen an Archer report. Look at it. Every single collective bargaining unit member is in there except us. Why is that? Why are we not on there? We're not on there. Maybe our job wasn't evaluated, if that's what you mean, but even our pay scale is not listed on there. We're the only county employee that doesn't have our pay scale listed on there. Every other bargaining unit member has their county pay scale listed on there.
The Archer,
And aside from that, great, that's the pay issues. My safety is a priority. That's it. Safety is a priority. That takes precedence over everything. We can't hire people, that's a whole nother issue. But you're gonna lose the people you have. We have people that are quitting.
I'm only addressing the Archer study, does not apply to anyone in a collective bargaining agreement.
Can I approach you with one and show you, or can I take?
You don't have to approach me with one. It doesn't matter what's on that list. The Archer study,
How does that make sense? It doesn't matter what's on that list. Every single bargaining unit member's salary is on there,
Mr. Kibbe,
except mine.
you know, I've heard you for 4 weeks, and anytime anybody tries to answer,
Because I'm hearing,
you talk over them,
yes,
you're disrespectful,
because I've been disrespected for 2 years, sir.
you give
2
half
years I've been
truths.
I don't give half truths. You guys are getting half truths from the warden, and you guys are believing it's true. Yes, I'm frustrated. I'm gonna speak over people, because for the last 4 meetings, we keep hearing the same things, and I'm supposed to sit back and listen to the same nonsense while I go to work and can die. While I go to work and I'm doing 17-hour days, and then I come here, and you guys say the same thing again. And I'm supposed to sit back, listen to it, let the public hear the same thing again, and everybody thinks everything's fine.
I don't care if you sit back, I just appreciate you listening to
But
it.
I'm gonna hear the same thing. You guys keep saying the same thing. Nothing's changing. So what, I'm not listening. The time for listening is over. The time for words is over. It's time for action. Action needs to be taken, because we take action every day. I go to work, I don't have a choice but to take action. I have to respond to somebody getting stabbed. I have to respond to a suicide. I have to respond to a drug overdose. I have to wrestle around with people covered in feces and urine and spitting at me and throwing it at me. I have to do that after working a 17-hour day. And then I come here and ask you to protect me, and I hear words. All I hear is talking. And you're talking, and I physically see no action. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna go wrestle with somebody covered in crap. You know what I get for that? Nothing. I get to hear from you guys. We'll talk about it further. Yeah, I'm talking over people. Yes, I don't want to hear words. I want to see actions. I want to hear plans. I want to hear that we'll even dictate. We don't even have policies in the jail transcribed for the stuff that we do. You know why? Because it gives us a sense of plausible deniability, because there's no policy when certain things happen. You know who it falls on? It falls on the officers. We get in trouble when certain things happen. When there's mixed classifications on a unit that shouldn't be, when a fight happens between those people, we get in trouble. But it shouldn't even be mixing like that. There's no policy on it. I'm tired of words. We need to see actions. Because the next action that happens is there's going to be a funeral plan for one of us officers. And then what are we saying? We're going to sit here and say, hey, we were discussing it, like we were trying, we were doing stuff. It's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable.
Okay. Moving on. I do appreciate and respect the fact that we hear this information. It is helpful. And from that, I'm going to move on at this point to any other public comment on any other subject.
Ask this question. The election integrity grant, do I need to write to know to find out what actually is in it?
From the state of
I understand.
Pennsylvania for $584,000
Okay.
dollars.
And
It's
what,
an allocation from the state to Monroe County to use for elections. What we don't spend, we have to send back to the state. So there will be a report that is generated at the end. And we'll go back to leftover monies have to go back to the state. We're not able to retain them year to year.
okay,
And that's,
there has to be some
That's
sort
the
of.
next meeting.
yeah, that's something that we can really dive into at the next meeting.
What these gentlemen are saying, the corrections officers, it doesn't just happen in Monroe County, it happens in the whole state of Pennsylvania. So maybe you guys, you might not be the only ones who are having to fight with this, but you could send it up to the people in Harrisburg and let them know, because this is happening all over the state of Pennsylvania.
We are aware of that. Thank you. Yes, you're correct. You are correct.
Other jails get additional compensation.
That's all right. Time out, please.
Throw that out there.
Okay.
I apologize, this is a different topic, back to what Jennifer Staunch was talking about, and I was late for that part. For elderly people who are homeless, because I've been calling several places to try and find housing for an elderly person who just Social Security.
the lists are everywhere, not only in this state, but other states. They keep saying the same lines. It's 3 years long. Some places, the waiting list is closed, so that means you can't even get on the waiting list. I'm picking up some applications in different counties today. And then the flip side of the problem, if you have a piece of property that you could open up for a homeless person, there's so many regulations within boroughs, townships, that you can't open it for that homeless person to give them shelter, literally to the point that that person was told to go sleep in your car by a police officer. And that's very sad, and I'm trying to find something for this person. And I'm just putting, I will, if Jennifer's the right person to talk to, maybe,
Is it, I'd go to aging
area office of area aging.
and
I'll
we,
work on that.
Monroe County has a program called the SHARE program that may
Okay.
help out with that.
Okay.
But it's, you said one person, which is, we can maybe deal with, but there's many more than that. But
Oh, I know, I
For your,
understand that.
for
I
your person that you're
I
trying to
understand.
find
I just,
help for.
it's heartbreaking when you're, just like they're on their side of their battle, everybody's on sides of battles right now that are intense.
Go to the
Thank you.
area.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. So.